Wednesday, January 4. Responsibilities of God's family members. We all enjoy the spiritual and temporal blessings and gifts that God gives us. How comforting to know, too, that we are part of the family. Read Deuteronomy chapter 6 and verse 5 and Matthew 22:37. What does this mean and how do we do it? Deuteronomy 6 verse 5. You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your strength. And Matthew 22 verse 37, Jesus said to him, You shall love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind. How would you love God with all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your mind? Interestingly enough, the Bible gives us the answer, and it's not what most people expect. Read Deuteronomy 10 verses 12 and 13 and 1 John chapter 5 verse 3. Biblically speaking, what is our proper response in our love relationship with our Father in heaven? Deuteronomy 10 beginning at verse 12. And now, Israel, what does the Lord your God require of you? But to fear the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways and to love him, to serve the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul, and to keep the commandments of the Lord and his statutes, which I command you today for your good. And 1 John chapter 5 verse 3, For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not burdensome. Keeping the law, obeying the commandments. For many Christians, unfortunately, the idea of obeying the law, especially the fourth commandment, is legalism, and they claim that we are called simply to love God and to love our neighbour as ourselves. However, God is clear. We reveal our love to God and to our neighbours by, yes, obeying his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments. 1 John 5:3. We are used to looking at this verse as, well, we love God and therefore we keep his commandments. That's fine, but perhaps we also can read it as, this is the love of God. That is, we know and experience the love of God by keeping his commandments. In Matthew 7:21-27, Jesus said that those who hear and do God's words are likened to a wise builder who built his house upon the solid rock. Not everyone who says to me, Lord, Lord, shall enter the kingdom of heaven, but he who does the will of my Father in heaven. Many will say to me that day, Lord, Lord, have we not prophesied in your name, cast out demons in your name, and done many wonders in your name? And then I will declare to them, I never knew you. Depart from me, you who practice lawlessness. Therefore, whoever hears these sayings of mine and does them, I will liken him to a wise man, who built his house on the rock. And the rain descended, and the floods came, and the winds blew and beat on that house, and it did not fall, for it was founded on the rock. But everyone who hears these sayings of mine and does not do them will be like a foolish man who built his house on the sand, and the rain descended, the floods came, and the winds blew, and beat on that house, and it fell, and great was its fall. Those who hear but don't obey are likened to a foolish builder who built his house on the sand with disastrous results. Both heard the word, one obeyed, one didn't. The result made the difference between life and death. And so to finish today, think about the link between loving God and obeying his law. Why would love for God be expressed in that way? What is it about keeping the commandments that indeed does reveal that love? Here's a hint. Think about what disobeying his law causes. This lesson was read by Dr. Percy Harrold for Christian Services for the Blind. Sponsored by the Sabbath School Department and distributed through Hope Channel Australia, this podcast is also redistributed by Hope Channel Germany, Christian Record Services for the Blind. It is also available on SoundCloud and through multiple podcast distributors, including Apple iTunes. And you can listen and watch at the same time on YouTube. Remember, God is always faithful.